So thank you, everyone. It was never before it took so long that I was allowed to speak at a World ECDIS Day. So finally I can speak. I hope all the smoke are also back from the terrace and the queue at the toilet is more or less done. My name is Stephan Dimke. I'm quite new at ChartWorld. I only joined last year in October. I'm the general manager, and as Björn said, I would like to recap everything what we heard, but more from the shipping company point of view. So what you will get if you're getting S-100? We want safer navigation, lower bunkering costs, fewer delays, and for sure a future-proof and compliance concept. These are all wonderful things that will come. And as Björn mentioned in the beginning, the iPhone 17, the newest technology is always coming with some cost. So please do not expect that everything is also getting cheaper of implementing new equipment on your ships. You will get the money back later on by using the systems. S-100 is not a one-time thing like S-57. It was introduced 25 years ago, and then since then we're using F-57. We are continuously adding new standards to this S-100 group. And the hardware and software need to be upgraded continuously. So you've got two options from my point of view to keep pace on this. First one is that you every 3 years buying new hardware that is able to operate also all this new S-100 data. I'm telling you why. I think if in 5 years' time we're getting some kind of S-400 data included, this will be developed in 5 years' time. And normally development is done with the hardware available at that time. So if you buy a computer now, and some manufacturers are offering already now hardware that is compliant with S-100, I would suggest be careful on that one. The second option is you buying directly a very expensive one with a lot of power, but also there, the likelihood that this will not last the next 5 to 10 years is quite high. So I think, realistically, the implementation of S-100 into your fleet will cost you over the next 5 to 10 years $30,000 to $50,000 per vessel. Coming back to the benefits that you will buy for this money, and I will link these benefits now directly to the formats that Matthew already presented in the beginning. Safer navigation, I think it is mainly directly connected to S-102 data. S-102 data with really precise safety contours. Everyone who operated an ECDIS, who was navigating on an ECDIS, safety contours at the moment are the biggest bottleneck of safe navigation. You had to do no-go areas on top of the safety contours because on no vessel you could put the draft of the vessel plus a safety margin that is in your ISM manual and you find the right safe corridor. This will be a big improvement if we're getting this S-100 to data and you really get the safe corridor for navigation. So I'm pretty sure you will get safer navigation. Also, what Matt said in the beginning, S-111 data, current data. At the moment, there is quite a number of weather optimization companies like StormGeo, ABB, Napa, Wetterwelt, and so on. They're using mainly weather, but also already currents to optimize your operation. This data is always, at the moment, only available if you're subscribing to these companies. Now they will be available in S-100, a little bit more public, and there will be also, perhaps ECDIS manufacturers, other players in the market can optimize your voyages. So I'm pretty sure that lower bunkering cost is also very likely to happen if you're using S-100 data, if they are available. The next benefit I talked about is fewer delays. And I link this now directly to S-104 data. The S-104 data, as you saw before, is the data with real-time tidal changes on the chart. You can predict your voyage more precisely to enter a port. You don't have to go full speed and wait in front of a port for 4 days. You can plan this. I don't know if it's in your interest. Perhaps it's more in the charterer's interest or other way around, but it could be done. And the last one, future-proof and compliance. So 2029 S-100 data ECDIS needs to be implemented. If you have it on board, SOLAS is saying you have to use this data for safe navigation. If If you don't have it on board because of the grandfather clause of S57, you don't need to use this data. But from my experience in the past, only because something is not mandatory, some people, like friends from SIA or RightShip, are going one step ahead and looking at best management practice and perhaps asking for this to be implemented already earlier than necessary. There was a question in the section before, how many vessels do you really think will be equipped in 2009 with S-100 ECDIS? 29. So the rule at the moment is saying every new build and every replacement needs to have S-100 ECDIS, compliant ECDIS. 40,000 vessels, all in ECDIS. If an ECDIS is lasting at best 10 years' time, you can do the math and think how much S-100 ECDIS will be in the market in 2029 already. And if there are some in the market, these guys will find their way to get you do this faster than expected. Now, I would like you to ask, take a picture of this and answer these questions. Yeah, what do you think a shipping company is most interested in all these benefits that I just presented? So safer navigation is good to see. Bunkering costs, also a good future-proof compliance. Not so many tanker companies here, it's okay. Yeah, so we're going back to the presentation. Thank you for this. Good, timeline. We talked about the timeline. We said that 2026, you can use it, 29, you should use it. In 29, you should install an ECDIS. Your ISM manual needs to be updated. Crew needs to be trained. And you had to select your data supplier and your ECDIS supplier. So you've got ages of time, 3 years from now. Yeah, no problem. I think in 2027, the training centers will be ready to have some kind of courses ready to train your crew, perhaps earliest. Yeah, the model courses, perhaps they are ready, we hope so. Sufficient data, after the discussion we had before, I'm pretty sure it's available. Yeah, already at 26, so next year, latest 27. In 28, most probably the type approval standard to approve an ECDIS for S-100 use is available in 28, perhaps earlier, but the first ECDIS will be type approved in 28. So then you've got 1 year time to install your ECDIS if you want to be ready at that time, or you take your time and only do it later and concentrating on updating your ISM manual and other things and training your crew. So this timeline, if you really want to be ready at 2029 with your complete fleet, is quite tight. 3 years only to get this all done. Again, a question, which of these tasks the shipping company should start first with? What do you think? I think it's quite logic. I think that is quite interesting. MSC 1503 that is valid at the moment is saying that before you're training your crew, you have to write your manuals and make sure that your training manual is making sure that your crew is trained. So training the crew before having a manual on what they should be trained, I think that is the wrong order. Yeah, think about what you want to do with S-100 before you send people to get trained. And otherwise, you simply have an IO model course that is not really reflecting what is needed on board for all this cost saving and better navigation. Now I would like to talk about the challenges on shore in your office and then the challenges afterwards on board. Crew training we already talked about. The bigger your fleet, the more you have to train the resources and the training centers to get this all trained again. It's like when we started with ECDIS, this will be a challenge. It will simply be a challenge. Updating ISM manual, it is a challenge. Please go to some people that already did this once or twice. Get help on this one. I think it's important. You cannot use S-57 navigation procedures for S-100 navigation. There are, from the past, I implemented, 2008, I started to implement ECDIS at Transas, and I saw shipping companies that use paper chart navigation procedures for digital navigation. They failed. And this will be the same with S-57, so this is a must from my point of view. Then we talked about this, and there was also questions in the polls before. I think Danilo asked this. You have to make sure, if you're using S-100 data, that also the bandwidth on board of your vessels and the communication systems on board of your vessels are up to date and that they can handle this data. Otherwise, you're standing there without connectivity, and then all these wonderful features are not available anymore. And the basic charts, S-100 2, Danilo, they will be able to be updated via USB stick also. But the live data will not be there then. And cybersecurity. You will connect your OT equipment to the ship. That means that you have to rethink perhaps your procedures, your way how to connect the com system to your OT equipment, and take some additional measures. Yeah? As I said here, perhaps it's time to kick out Windows and go for very innovative products in the market that are not using Windows anymore. And then find the right time and the resources to do this. Important. Yeah? But think about this now. On board, for sure, get familiar with the equipment, voyage execution in real time. Yeah, this is something completely new. Yeah, and at the moment, we are doing a voyage plan on S-57 data. You're getting an update once a week. You're sailing, and if you're looking out of the window or you're looking on the radar, perhaps you're seeing some obstacles in front of you. With this new data, you will see this up ahead, and it's dynamic. You have to adjust the way how you're monitoring, you're doing your watch and adjusting your decisions based on this data, not only because of the eye, but also on the, yeah, for sure the eye, but you see it then on the ECDIS and not on the radar. Handling of all this data, we talked about this. There's so many additional data, and without help of perhaps external tools or consultants, it will be hard for the sailor, but if you dump this all on him, to really get the best out of this data. And then we talked about this dual fuel concept. Wonderful, perfect. We can do S-57 next to S-100 data, and we can start navigating with it. That reminds me on the little issue that on the ENC data, still the updates for some charts, 39% of the world, have to be manually done with AIO. Other areas, it is automatically in the weekly updates at the moment. And the poor sailor has to define when he has to switch over from AIO correction to automatic correction, and have to see this in his voyage and do this and find this out on his own. Yeah, this is the same with S-100, S-100 2 data and S-57 data. They have to switch the way how to navigating. How should that work? That is really complicated. Yeah, I would like to see how this should be done. Most probably it's possible, but not so easy. Cybersecurity awareness, the biggest threat to cybersecurity is not the link from the ECDIS to the com system, but the person in front of the ECDIS. Yeah, so they also need some training, not only on the use of S-100 ECDIS, but also how to handle data. Last question for today. What do you think will be the biggest challenge from your point of view? Good costs. Okay, I shouldn't have told you in the beginning 50,000. Yeah, that was quite obvious. You need to think about the cost saving that you can generate. Yeah, cost saving. Yeah. Okay, so we cut the costs out, new procedures. I think that is the key to S-100, okay? Yeah? Good. We all agree on that one. I have that proven here. I'm telling you all this now, and at least 50% of the audience will not believe me. Yeah? It's sad, but at least I got 50%. But it's not only me saying that these are the things you have to think about. Intertanko, for example, is saying exactly this. They're saying you should keep pace with S-100 development. Well done, everyone here in the room. You're doing an excellent job on this task. You're here and you're getting new information. Second one they're saying is change hardware systems on board. Ideally with ChartWorld, but also others like Furuno and Anschütz are in the room. Yeah, so Sperry also. Yes, sorry. Everyone who's here. Let's keep it ideally ChartWorld. So, yeah, develop procedures. Yeah, they're repeating what I said. It's like Intertanko's always doing. Available resources, and that's quite interesting here. They're talking here about resources that are managing the management of change and also additional alternative ways of communication. They're mentioning here VDES, not working yet, but perhaps a very interesting new concept next to the existing one. And also last but not least, crew training. I can tell you from the time where I did not work as ChartWorld last year, 9 months at OTG, they had roughly 1 million seafarers trained. They trained 1 million seafarers. And we compared it in a wonderful Power BI database with the port state inspections. And I can tell you numbers, I do not lie on that numbers. If you train your crew better, you have less problems on board. That is a fact. So I think this is one of the most important things after you did your ISM menu updates, and to help your crew to understand what they're doing there. And then one slide for sure for the solution. Yeah, I have to do this because I'm working for ChartWorld. Otherwise, my boss is angry with me. We are offering a lifetime warranty ECDIS as a service concept with constant hardware and software upgrade whenever needed. Yeah, this is a fixed annual fee. This is avoiding shortage of stock in the last minute at 2029 or later. And this is simply a very nice option to go this path. And you can switch the complete fleet if you want with one click when you already installed the hardware in an earlier stage. So, call for actions, choose the right S-100 partner, and then you can start saving costs. Thank you very much. I've got also prepared some questions, answers here. If you're still not bored to answer, ask me some questions. So please feel free.
Yeah, Oliver Gotz. I remember the transition to ECDIS back in, I think we have done this 2006 already. And at this time, can you imagine there were makers delivering ECDIS without a keyboard? Now, I would say this period was very chaotic and it was plenty learning by doing. Now we have the chance to do it better. And I would recommend the industry, the makers, the RANCs and so on, to deliver guidance, how to deal with S57, S-100 charts in one voyage, how to use UKC in the seamless data world. Don't leave it to Intertanko.
The Intertanko, for example, is already influenced by makers and other bodies. So yes, we don't leave it to them, we influence them. And it's a good idea. Most probably, I'm pretty sure that all the ECDIS manufacturers and data supplier will help you with guidance how to do this. But I can tell you already now, after I heard all the things, is if and when and perhaps, and we don't know, no one knows yet exactly what to be done, but hopefully in the next years we will be more clear on that.
Thank you, Stephan. It was very interesting, and many points I found also as the same I was thinking of. But the question is maybe not directly to you. Maybe Matthew can also give an idea.
You're not off the hook.
Considering the all ongoing discussions around the S-100 standard as a future, is industry actually taking the end user opinion in some way? Or maybe you as a ChartWorld running kind of surveys where you can get a feeling from the end user of what they would wish to see in the new standard and what they actually need and desire. Because all of us, or majority of us who has some sailing background, we are for some time already away from the stand of the ECDIS.
Yeah, you saw that I already started. Yeah, I asked you, what do you think is most important? You've not been always right, but this is a good idea. I think, but if I'm not wrong, Andy, there are inputs from operators already now in the S-100 implementation, right?
Yeah, there are, and that's kind of part of the sea trials that we're doing with the UKHO, etc., to get that sort of industry voice back into those standards. The challenge is making the IHO listen.
Thank you. What I've missed is port state control here. So what does it mean for when we are implementing S-100? First, for port state control, validating that the crew is correctly trained, or that the charts are up to date. When we have chart updates coming in on a daily basis or even a shorter notice, what does it mean for the ships and for the updating lines when they get inspection and they do not have the latest update, which just came yesterday?
That's a good question that I can't answer. I asked me the same question. Yeah, I think this concept that you have to check if the charts are up to date it's not working simple anymore if you're getting just-in-time updates. It's more about, I think, that the system is in operation and your communication is in operation, that's more like this. But is anyone here who can answer on this? I think that is not clear yet, at least not to me. Anyone can answer?
So we have an ISN system in place. We have an annual surveys done by DNV or ANEC classifications. They are checking if we are training, if we have the manuals. I think it's time a little bit for the PSC to understand this. This is beyond their knowledge, I must say. I have discussion with AMSA and Coast Guard to, I don't know, they don't listen so much to this. Sorry.
Thank you.
When do you recommend to start technical implementation, new buildings and vessel in service? Or
Yeah, that depends. So you can install, I think you can start implementing hardware that is able to operate an S-100 approved ECDIS earlier, because at the moment there is no type approval standard available for S-100 ECDIS. This will come earliest, really earliest, 26, likely later. So you can start to install hardware and then upgrade. This depends also what you want to do. You want to really change to S-100 operations on the complete fleet on the 1st of January 2029, or when you're installing the first vessel because you have to after 2029. So this is something that you have to discuss with your ECDIS maker and make a plan. Yeah, this is important, but I cannot tell you one for all. A company with one ship has completely other needs than MSC, for example.
Thank you. Mikos Ranko from Rank, Primar Rank. So answering the question about the standard or the how to follow up what is ECDIS updated or should be updated is 128. It's product specification, but it is meant to be a catalog of catalogs like products TXT was for SVIT 7. So that would be the one to be following and making sure that all the information ECDIS gets is from S128, what kind of products are available. So think of it like something like an MCP, but in a product specification form.
What does it mean? I don't understand that. So it means that you need to prove that you're able to get the data, but you cannot prove anymore that everything is up to date, correct?
Through S128, so ECDIS needs to receive all the information from any producer of the data, which is also producing S128, saying what they are producing and how up to date it is. There's a discussion of whether the rank should be also the one who is helping to distribute this information. We do distribute also, we distribute with every product, every exchange set now, with S100 exchange set or dual fuel exchange set, we produce also 128 saying what is available. But that how it should be implemented in ECDIS, it is described in S98 standard, and that is now up in IHO to debate, to discussion, to upgrade, where I would strongly suggest all the OEMs to look into it. There are some OEMs who are really active in it, and it's really great to see that they are showing what are the IHO ideas, how it should work, and then the OEMs come and say, well, this is what you practically can do, and this is really beneficial to have this discussion, that it is actually then defined in S98, ECDIS interoperability standard, how the things should work, including this S128, how the ECDIS is supposed to know and answer that question, is it up to date or not?
Good, okay, so I promise that we will look into this, and once we found out, after all the debates, how it's done, and we implement it, then we will tell the shipping companies, okay? Then, thank you that was from my side.